Hey, what's up, everybody? It's BDF44. So, I'm doing another one of these in the dark podcast type of videos. And, hey, look, man, this is the night the Clippers lost. And I'm happy about it. I'm a Laker fan. You guys know how I get down. I've been talking about Lakers and Clippers since the start of this channel. And if you go back and look at some of my rants involving the Clippers, you will see that I have a perspective on the Clippers that is a bit, I guess you could say it's a frustrating point of view because I didn't grow up hating the Clippers. As a little kid, my mom and we watched the Clippers occasionally. We were Laker fans, but if the Lakers weren't playing and the Clippers were playing somebody we wanted to see, we'd watch the Clippers. They were our little brothers. That's how we looked at the team. And then they started assembling players that we liked. Darius Miles and Quentin Richardson, and going back to some of those teams that had DA on the squad. And, around the time Elton Brand first got there, that was kind of like a squad that I watched. Like there was a season or two where I really watched the Clippers about as much as I watched the Lakers, to be honest, because they had a fun team. They were starting to put it together. They were exciting, underdogs, had developing talent. We didn't really know if some of the players that they had drafted were going to pan out or not yet. So it was still pretty exciting to see guys like Olowokandi. You don't know what he's going to be, that kind of thing. So I watched the Clippers. And then to just see the whole situation with CP3 go down. Just the whole way that went. Everything that led up to it. Basketball reasons with David Stern, rest in peace, and that whole situation with the decision to ultimately give CP3 to the Clippers, and just how devious that whole situation felt. And then looking at how things went from there. If you lived in LA, they were covering up our banners when Doc got there, hanging balloons on our Magic Johnson statues and stuff like that. It's just a lot of stuff that ate away at us. Obviously, Donald Sterling and his nonsense. It's just I ain't gonna say it's personal because I'm a fan. I'm a nobody just sitting back watching sports. But as somebody who takes his Laker fandom pretty seriously, I felt like the Clippers had been disrespectful toward us, toward the organization. Now, I've always wondered if there were some things behind the scenes going on, maybe some bad blood, some bad deals. I don't know, but it just seemed like it was personal to me. It seemed like they were deliberately trying to wage war, more or less, with everything Lakers. And as they started getting better, their fandom started to grow. The people started hopping on their bandwagon. You start seeing people pop up talking crap. Now we got a whole fan base full of people who we didn't know where they were. Maybe they were Sacramento Kings fans before that. Maybe they Cleveland fans, Golden State fans, Boston fans, just fans, anybody who hated us and who went up against us rather. And they found a team to hop on and who happened to be in Los Angeles. So it just seemed to me that their fans weren't really organic, just a bunch of bandwagoners talking crap. I don't know. Just the whole situation made for a very, very, very easy situation to root against, or easy team to root against. And so I do. And the vitriol is strong these days, obviously, with the whole thing with Kawhi Leonard, which I documented quite a bit on my videos. And it was meant for this to happen. I'm a firm believer in karma, and what you put out is going to come back to you. Sometimes the same way you put out, sometimes at stronger levels, but it's coming back one way or another. And if you look back at what happened with the Lakers, sure, Kawhi had his right to do whatever he wanted to. He can go to whatever team he wants to. He can recruit whomever, and if it's can be done within the confines of the NBA rules, then no one should really have a problem with it. But my thing was in the style that you did it. It just seemed very, very personal. And I know that a lot of people looked at LeBron James and felt the same way about his decision initially leaving Cleveland, and how he embarrassed the city of Cleveland by leaving them and all of that nationally and doing it on ESPN. It just left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, and it just felt like Kawhi Leonard was trying to do to LeBron what LeBron did to Cleveland. It almost felt like a cerebral um, jab, you know, towards LeBron's camp. And I know a lot of people don't like LeBron. They don't like as KD described, the media circus that surrounds LeBron James. It's not even the person they don't like. They just don't like what comes with him. And I always felt like some people had jealousy, concerns, and issues with LeBron James because of the attention that he got, because of uh, just the fact that he's the face of the league, and he's made a ton of money, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Um, I don't want to put that on anybody specifically, but when you read the tea leaves, when you look at the moves, you have to assume that there's some weight to all of it. When you look at the move that Kawhi made in delaying uh, his decision to come to one of the LA teams, effectively making it so that the window of time between the free agency opening uh, and the time that he released his information on what he was doing made it so that a lot of players weren't able to sign with the Lakers. The Lakers had to let guys fly off the board, trying to reserve cap space for him. He understood this and calculated it in such a way so that most of the free agency pool would dry up before his announcement was made. I just thought that was wrong. Some would say it's smart business, but it's dirty business. It's business in bad faith, especially when you have people sitting there awaiting whether or not you're going to join them or not. That's the part that bothers me. I reach my hand out to you, right? You have a right to say yes or no. But what you shouldn't do is slice me in that thing when I reach it out to you. You know what I'm saying? That's my thing. We're going to be competitors. So you're trying to give yourself a competitive edge. I respect that. But you also understand that I'm in the dark about whether or not you're going to be riding with me. And for you to attack me while I'm sitting here waiting for you to tell me whether or not you're riding with me felt like a disingenuous, dirty, slick. It's like the business equivalent of sitting somebody with a sucker punch. Like I hated the energy from which that move was made. I didn't like how it felt. Now, obviously, as a Laker fan, I feel like I'm on the receiving end of it, so I'm going to personalize it. But just looking at it from the outside, looking in, it felt like a petty move by a jealous person. Like, maybe I'm reading too much into it, and please forgive me if I'm being disrespectful in doing so. But I don't feel like I'm the only one who assesses it that way. And it feels to me that karma felt the exact same way, because the fashion in which the Clippers got knocked off today felt like God was like, yeah, that's what you get. That's what you get. The Lakers are sitting there waiting for you. They done knocked off the Rockets. You done had all these different battles with the Mavericks, and that whole situation with Montrez and Doncic. That left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth. That whole situation with Lou Williams, that didn't sit well with some people, even though we understood that the details of that were acceptable to a lot of us, including myself. After I heard the whole story, I was cool. But the point was, people were making decisions on the team that didn't benefit the team during this bubble situation. Whether those are excusable decisions or not, the point was the team wasn't together. They weren't on the same page. They weren't after the same goals. They didn't all have it together. And, ultimately, they fizzled out. They were put together, as I like to say in a lot of situations, as ill-gotten gain. Something put together in bad faith. And they were embarrassed in very, very, very demonstrative fashion, having blown a 3-1 lead to a team that they had not only the series lead in, But individual leads and going into halftime with 18-point leads, 17 points leads, they couldn't hold on to anything. They were clearly the better team. No one will ever argue whether or not the Clippers or the Denver Nuggets were better in 2020. We all know the Clippers were better than the Denver Nuggets in 2020. But it literally didn't matter because the Denver Nuggets were a team that had come in with a cohesive unit, a singular focus. They had gelled over several years together. Most of these players on that team, even though they're a young team, they've been together for about 3 years or more. They know each other, and they believe in the system. And then they made the sacrifices necessary to make sure that they never gave up. And I think altitude played into this significantly because the Denver Nuggets are used to training and playing home games in high altitude. And if you know anything about that, you're going to have a hell of a lot more endurance than someone who doesn't when you come down to their level. And I think that even though the Denver Nuggets were worn out, their level of being worn out was quickly recovered. They were able to recover quickly and able to keep it going, I think, because of the fact that they play in altitude a lot. So, yeah, that's what I think about that. But either way, to see the Denver Nuggets knock those Clippers off after the fact that they were assembled in the way that they were assembled, and to see the Lakers still be around to sit here and say, we showed up, where y'all at? It's just the most poetic, it's just poetic justice, man. It feels great. It feels great as a fan. And not only that, but then you think about how the Clippers were given so much love from all the analysts. Oh, these guys are the best defensive team assembled. Oh, they're the 97 Bulls. Oh, when you want to compare, who's the best teams in the league, you can't get past the Clippers because really they have the deepest bench. And all this talk about this team. And I said, well, okay, but who's passing the ball? Where's the size? Do you trust Zubats against elite bigs? How is ball movement going to work? Do they have what they need to be consistent? Do they have a leader on this team? Who's leading the squad? It's a lot going on there. Is Doc Rivers going to finally be able to overcome 3-1 deficits? And the answer was no. No. When he has a 3-1 lead, he coughs it up. It's the third one he's coughed up, and I can make no excuses for the man. Especially since he's the guy that's been covering our banners. Another thing that I thought was just, good for you, bad display, that kind of thing. It's not what you do. You know what I mean? Especially given the fact that some of those people whose names is retired are no longer with us. You know what I mean? Covering banners for people who may not be here to say anything about the accomplishment, and that, good for the Clippers, but ultimately just a bad thing for everybody. And I just feel like that's been the name of the story with the Clippers. They try to assemble these teams and they do whatever they can. They undercut people trying to get the Chris Paul situation, hopping at opportunities when they shouldn't. Just little stuff that seems like good business. But if you're looking at it from the outside, you kind of see it and it's like, maybe they shouldn't have did that. You might have had the right to do it, but was it the right thing to do? And that's ultimately what I've seen just as a fan of the Lakers, watching this rival squad just look at us and have so much jealousy in their hearts for our accomplishments. And it's crazy. Like, you could see it even in the moves. They hired Jerry West. Like, they hired coaches that we wanted. We had this situation with Ty Lue. They go hire him after that. Like, just little stuff. The whole Marcus Morris situation, they know we were going after him, so they gave away more than we could pay for him just to keep him off our squad. Like, all of this stuff. Like, read the tea leaves. They've been doing nothing but undercutting the Lakers ever since they found Blake Griffin in the draft. And that's the God's honest truth. And it just feels good as a Laker fan to see karma catch up to this squad, to this organization. It feels good. It really does. And whether we win the championship or not, who's not going to win it? The Los Angeles Clippers. It's a good feeling, baby. Real good feeling. My name is BDF44, and I'm out.